Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our show. My friend Duane Weiss is here beside me to help me today, guide us through the news of the day. As is my wont, I pick up bits and pieces of news and I put them in a box, and the box is overflowing. So today I emptied the box, and we have got nothing but bits and pieces today.
Well, let's jump on them.
It was bound to happen, right?
We got so much riffraff left.
But we have a special guest today. Nancy Pelosi is with us.
Nancy has asked us a long time to come on this show.
That's right.
She, at least once or twice a week, we get something from her. Could I please get on that show? I need the exposure.
Well, she's going to get it today. You have a little story about a special day today.
Today is a special day for all of our Hindu viewers, and we know there's many, many of them out there. Actually, this is a pretty good holiday. I'd quite frankly never heard of it till now. It's Diwali Day, or Diwali Festival. It's a Hindu festival of lights. You couldn't find anything wrong with this festival at all. It signifies victory over light, or victory of light over darkness, good over evil, knowledge over ignorance, and hope over despair. Isn't that's a nice holiday?
I would say that is a dandy, and we have a lot to learn from my Hindu friends.
That's right. We could use a holiday like that.
Yeah. I found one in England, a well-known holiday over there. And in the past, what happens is that single men and single women move in for 2 weeks together and act as though they were married, and then at the end of the 2 weeks decide whether or not they want to actually get married.
I can see some problems with that.
I can see lots of problems.
I can see, well, maybe not today. I can see some very irritated parents.
Oh, boy.
But today, I don't think it would make much difference, would it?
No, they don't care anymore. Well, first of all, folks, here's some good news for you. $36 billion came out of the stock market in the last quarter, the third quarter of the year. Now, you usually would say to yourself, this is bad. But these are overwhelmingly small investors. And this is actually a bullish sign, as a small investor is almost always wrong trying to time the market.
Oh, yeah.
So, there you are. Hang in there, folks. Now, I have a nice story about the GE president, Jeff Immelt, who's retiring. He's the poster boy for greed and stupidity among corporate leaders.
Egotism, waste. I mean,
and GE's stock is tanking.
Yep.
They're going to cut the dividend. Now, it's come out from some of the insiders.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yep. He uses 2 corporate jets.
Count them, folks. 2.
2 corporate jets when he goes on a business
And why
trip.
would that be, Bill? He has such a large entourage, or because of...
The second one is empty, and it's a backup in case he's delayed by a problem with the other plane.
And he's so proud of it. Where do they park when they come to the airport?
I don't know.
Well, they separate the aircraft on the ground so people can't see that it's 2 GE aircraft together.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, they're very proud of the fact that they do this.
Yeah, and now that he's retiring, this story has leaked out.
And the flight crew are sworn to silence on this.
Amazing. Well, here's something what you're not going to be sworn to silence.
Okay.
On. I checked this out. In fact, I couldn't do this on my calculator, so I had to go to Google on the computer.
This is some big number?
Big number. Amazon Prime members now number 90 million.
Yep. Oh, that's
And each one spends an average of $1,300
oh, I can see
annually.
it.
Okay? Amazon charges $100 a year for membership.
Membership, correct.
So here's the math. From the membership, they get $9 billion.
Yep, that sounds reasonable.
And from the $1,300 spent annually, they get $117 billion in business. That's a total of $126 billion. Is there any doubt in anybody's mind about why Amazon is squashing the competition?
No.
These numbers are incredible.
Yeah. You take the membership, that Prime membership, that is a bottom line number practically because there's no inventory. There's no cost of goods involved.
It just goes right
It's just
in.
an administrative function.
Goes right in the hopper.
They just press a button
Right.
and that's it.
Right to the bottom line. Amazing. The Coward of the Year award, I'm not going to wait till the end of the year, I'm going to give it out right now, goes to the National Football League and Roger Goodell for merely reiterating the NFL policy that players should stand for the national anthem. I bet it stops there. The NFL is just a money-driven cabal of gutless worms.
Of course it is.
Pox on their house.
Did you expect anything else, any other decision?
No.
I didn't either.
No, I knew it would be a non-decision.
Oh, yeah.
Just regurgitate what the policy is. And I hope their ratings continue to drop.
I actually do too, and football's my favorite.
I know it, me
It's
too.
my sport.
It's killing me.
But I don't like it how it's run.
No. Fox Financial ran a poll. Now, Fox Financial is a conservative viewer base. Okay? That's the way it is, folks. But in their poll, they asked, should players face harsh penalties for not following the NFL guidelines? Care to guess the outcome, partner?
Oh, they said no.
No, they said the players should be punished.
Who were you asking?
Yeah, this is a financial poll asking people, should players face harsh penalties for not following NFL guidelines?
I think so because it's a business.
What percentage?
What percentage? 67.
94%.
94. Wow, I was off on that one.
Yep. Hillary Clinton was asked about her friend Harvey Weinstein being a sexual predator, and she retorted, well, there's one in the White House. Too bad the interviewer didn't retort with, why, is Bill back in the White House? I mean, and also, she also said she's not going to return the $300 million that he raised for her or gave her.
Most all those Hollywood people today, you talk about Harvey Weinstein, they go, Harvey who?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Somebody said something, but I didn't. My dear friends, I'm jumping the gun. But as we approach Thanksgiving, I would like you to consider this. What a special thanks we owe to our first responders, our firefighters, our police officers for the courageous work, not only at a mass shooting, but what they do 24/7. They're heroes all, in my estimation.
Yep. Just remember, they run toward the trouble instead of away from the trouble.
Absolutely. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Get ready for this one.
All right.
Where has the firestorm over bump stocks and suppressors and silencers gone?
Those items are what I like to call the outrage of the day. They were all consuming 24 hours, 7 days a week for as long as they lasted, and poof, they were gone.
It was a 3-day flash in the pan, and some politicians got some FaceTime on CNN, and after that, people realized that these people didn't know what they were talking about.
When it comes to guns, they did the same thing when that word assault rifle came out.
Assault rifle, AR-15s. Yeah.
For some reason, if it had a folding stock, it was an assault rifle. Or if it had any kind of nomenclature on it, it was black. It was an assault rifle. But again, that kind of died down after a while.
Never, after the shooting out to Las Vegas, never has so much been said by so many who knew so little.
Right.
It was just noise. That's all it was. As my old friend and 7th grade teacher, Mike Cosentino, often said, an empty barrel makes the most noise.
That's very true.
I must tell you the truth, however, and put this in context. When he said this, he was usually referring to me.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Winston Churchill commented on peace with honor when Neville Chamberlain came back from Munich, waving the paper. I have the gentleman's signature.
Peace in our time.
We have peace in our time.
Oh,
And Winston Churchill said, in signing that, you signed it for peace and honor. You've signed it. Now you will get neither.
That's exactly what I thought. And we talked about this when Obama went with the Iran deal.
Yep.
They're so close.
Yep. Appeasement does not work. The shadow knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men, and so didn't Winston Churchill. Look at our 20-year history with North Korea, as we have skated backwards constantly. Now we are facing the final chapter. And the final chapter is right in here. Oh, please find it, Billy. You did. North Korea. Nuclear war may break out at any time. All right, we're dealing, my dear friends, with a madman the like this world hasn't seen since Adolf Hitler. And what did we do with Hitler? We gave in to every single push.
Appeased and we appeased and be appeased.
And what did it get us? It got us the Second World War.
These crazy loons, his grandfather, his father, and now have called everybody's bluff so many times.
Yeah.
Every time we back away, we back off.
Susan Rice, the dynamic advisor to Barack Obama, said, well, we've tried for 20 years, but they've just lied to us for 20 years. I guess we're stuck with a nuclear North Korea. In other words, let's just roll over and give it up. Well, I got to tell you, folks, the U.S. is going to have to act. We cannot have threats like this to our safety and the safety of all the people in this country. That is the first job of the president.
If the actual thermonuclear war does not break out, you're going to see a cyber war like you've never seen before. And they are going to do some damage.
Yeah.
They are capable now. We used to be considered kind of dolts. They don't know anything about it. You know, but now they're learning.
They have indeed.
They've come very close in the past to making some really, really strong.
They have leapfrogged past our defense mechanisms.
They just missed drawing out $81 billion from some financial institution because they spelt the word foundation wrong. And that's how they caught it.
Wow. That
was the only thing that they did wrong.
And you know, and we're in a position, folks, where both Russia and China in the back room have said to us, do what you must do.
Yeah, we don't want to go up front, but we want you to
and you know,
take care of it.
We had when we were having problems with Iran before this phony agreement that Obama boxed us into, we had Israel, we had Saudi Arabia, we had Egypt,
Yep.
and we had half a dozen other countries asking us to attack Iran and take out their nuclear facilities.
Kuwait was up there.
Kuwait was there.
Yep.
And you know what? He couldn't do it.
Nope.
And we allowed, that's his legacy to us. Now, the ugly head of Iran rears again.
That's right.
We're going to be faced with some tough decisions coming downstream. Thank God we've got a president who's not afraid to make a tough decision.
As horrible as nuclear war is, cyber war is insidious. There's a book called 1 Second After. I cannot remember the author's name, but it's around. It's very popular in paperback. Pick it up, read it. The library's got several copies of it. And it's about a magnetic pulse.
Yep.
And what happens if the electrical grid system is destroyed in this country?
What's going to happen?
It's chaos. It destroys, actually just puts us back to the Stone Age.
Yeah, right.
Without one building being hurt or anything else, just poof.
Yeah. I love local governments. I think that's really the
little empire builders.
Yeah.
Every town's loaded with them.
Here's a little government at work article. Seattle, Washington. In the nearby city of Everett, Liberty Ziska and some other bikini baristas give new meaning to coffee as a stimulant, as the waitresses are dressed in brief bikinis.
Okay.
Well, to protect everything that's pure, the city council has passed unanimously ordinances requiring baristas to be less nearly naked when they work. The baristas, in turn, have hired a lawyer and made an argument that is germane to current disputes about freedom of speech. Freedom of expression. Of all the things that local governments have to worry about,
Yep.
of the myriad of things that are wrong, they're worried about a half a dozen young ladies walking around in bathing suits.
I've observed this several times. I know somebody personally did something like this, and it was in Brockton. It was 40 years ago. He owned a gas station. It was so-so, doing all right. So he had the bright idea. It was not self-serve. It was serve. I'm going to hire a half a dozen young ladies, very well endowed young ladies,
Healthy.
healthy young ladies, and put them in little tiny bikinis. His gas sales soared about 5,000%.
Straight up. Either that or they install a car wash in adjacent to their
I saw one of
gas
those
station. Yeah.
in Springfield.
Yeah.
Young ladies, they were just out on a parking lot someplace. They had this thing, and they would wash the cars. They had cars lined up for
You better believe it.
Yep.
And they do a good job, and your car is clean.
Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine. The
There's a donut shop.
a
up there,
donut
too.
shop right
Yep.
across from the motel I used to stay at. You couldn't get, they had the skimpiest little bikinis in that place. You couldn't get in there because of the pickups.
Yep.
I mean, there were pickups lined up for a quarter mile to get in there and buy
Were
donuts.
the donuts any good, or did you taste them?
Donuts weren't bad, though. But it works. I mean,
So here's a message to the folks out in Everett, Washington. Go find something useful to do, you bunch of morons.
yeah.
Here's something. This won't make you too mad. insult our flag, our country, our military, our police, and apple pie. And what happens? Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Insult a woman, and you are forced to apologize. You lose sponsors on TV, fans, and the respect of women. Now, that seems like a double standard, you know?
Well, it's insult du jour.
Insult.
That's the insult of the day. You know, tomorrow it might be kittens, might be puppy dogs. Who knows?
Oh, gosh. Well, CNN's Daniela Diaz mocked President President Trump, sorry, holding hands and helping Senator Mitch McConnell up the stairs. And she had something real snotty to say about it.
I'm not
surprised. They didn't
surprised.
publish what she said.
Yeah.
But the rest of the story is, and one of the CNN anchors pointed this out to her, was that Mitch McConnell had polio as a youth, and he has trouble going up and down stairs. Mm-hmm. And the president lent a helping hand to him going up the stairs. And for that, he's mocked.
It wouldn't matter. I'm not saying that Trump does everything right, for God knows he doesn't. But it wouldn't matter what that man did. He's going to get criticized for it.
Listen, you know, I had the analogy with President Bush.
Yep.
That if he came upon an accident in a car and a young lady was trapped, and he went over there and it burst into flames, and he pulled her out through the window and pulled her away from the car before it exploded, the headlines the next day would be, President dislocates woman's shoulder.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with Trump. No matter what he does, that's why he's got to be a lot more careful than he is with what he says.
Yep.
And what it looks like he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? For my money, he's doing a good job when you consider he's surrounded by the swamp people, both parties.
Oh, yeah.
They just can't stand the idea that could this nation, Republican Party, possibly become a populist party? Well, I'm going to lose my power base. I've been the senator here for 34 years. I'm a chairman. Jeepers, creepers, holy cow.
I even worry that for his well-being or safe being.
I know it. I know
because
it.
there are so many nutcases out there, and the media goes on and says, we've got to stop this man at all costs. We got to do this. He can't do this, can't do this. Well, you're going to get the guy like in Vegas, you know, he's going to
That's right.
get an idea someplace.
That's right. Do you know, I was flying into Pittsburgh. I may have told the story before, but it was worth retelling. And I always flew first class because I had so many miles, quite frankly. I wasn't paying for it. I got free upgrades. Sitting beside this woman, she was a dreadful lady. And she is a fundraiser. And she was telling me about raising money opposing George W. Bush. And I said, you're not telling the whole story. I said, that is not the truth. And I said, you're lying. You know what she said to me? I will tell any lie necessary to defeat that moron. There's nothing bad I could possibly do to him.
I think that's pretty appropriate today. Today.
Listen, that woman is probably the chairman of the Hate Trump campaign now.
Because it doesn't matter what they have to do or how they have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Even these rallies where they no, we don't want Nazis in our community or our area. Well, they're acting more like Nazis than the Nazis themselves acted.
It's interesting that the next thing I have to talk about, I've titled...
I didn't peek either.
The Republicans don't take to the streets and riot and say terrible, foul things about others and destroy property and burn buildings. It's the Democrats, the liberals, doing the bullying that they accuse us of.
My way or no way.
That's right. That's the hatred and the bitterness of the Clintonistas right out there for everyone to see. Oxford University, that bastion of higher education in England, is banning Christians from addressing new incoming students. Quote, Christianity is used as a tool for homophobia. And one of their slogans at Oxford is free intellectual exchange.
That's totally oxymoron. It's totally opposite of what they're...
It's the world has been turned upside down. It's bizarro world
That's
now.
right. When you hear stuff like that, you say, how could we even engage in a dialogue with that? Because it doesn't make any sense. It's like you said, everything's flipped on its head.
This is a bastion of learning, for heaven's sakes. Isn't learning understanding both sides of an issue?
It was supposed to be. College was supposed to be where the parents sent their kids off to learn not only the given, like math and algebra and history and English and whatever, but also new ideas, entertain new ideas, different perspectives on things. But not today. Today, that school is narrow-minded, single-focused, and it's on their agenda. Don't you dare bring any other views into it.
You know what's interesting, too, and I read, is that at Harvard now, they mark as A minus, B plus.
Yeah. Well,
And God help you if you get a B plus, because that's the same as the old days when you got an F.
Harvard has been one of them schools that's been guilty of great inflation for years, mostly because of who they are. You know, they can say, well, we're very liberal, we're very understanding. Baloney, they're elite, total liberal elitists.
They're the Oxford of the USA. Yeah. Well, here's for you folks that are confused, shall I say, and rightfully so, about some of the propaganda that's put out about gun deaths. I'm going to put something in perspective for you. They're talking again, another talking head, 31,000 gun deaths a year. It's roughly 8,000 gun deaths due to criminal activity.
I know what the rest of them are.
The balance is suicide.
Because it's easy, it's convenient, and it's effective.
And it's personal.
It's personal, that's right.
You're not hurting anybody else except your family, and there's a good chance your family's bought off on it because you got a terminal illness or something. But these keep on batting out that number, 31,000, 32,000. Well, here's a number that's true. And I don't hear them batting this one around. Last year, 62,000 people died of drug overdoses in this country. That's 8 times more than criminal activity with a gun. Now, those 8,000 gun deaths are 8,000 too many. I'll be the first one to admit that. But let's be reasonable.
Yeah.
62,000 ODs. Do you hear that ballyhooed all the time?
Nope.
No. And yet it's killing 8 times as many people as guns do. Well, Michelle Obama weighed in on a very interesting subject. People don't like politics because the Republicans are all white men. Do you follow that?
She has been. I don't want to use this term, but I'm going to use it because she has thrown it out so many times, and that's racist.
I did not read my top title queen of the racists.
There I go again. That's scary, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, we start thinking like we're in big trouble.
If I were to say, you know, the criminal activity in this country is out of hand, black kids killing black kids, oh, you're a racist.
That's right.
You're a racist. But when she says something like this, well,
Wonderful insight.
yeah, terrific. I blame her and her husband for all the racial difficulties in this country. He was the first black president, and he took a pass on starting a racial dialogue in this country.
Yep.
He didn't do it. He was too busy playing golf and raising money for the Democratic
And he would
Party.
set the ball or the bars already in any case that there was going to be an adjudication and there was a race issue in it. He would bias it already by his announcements. You can't have the president come out and say on some news story, a black and white person, and give his opinion what it is. Because that influences every step in the judicial process
Without
all the way
a
down.
shadow of a doubt.
When
Yep.
he was great for that.
It was 8 years of absolutely no progress in this country, and we probably a couple of steps backwards.
But we practice racism all the time in this country.
You
But
can't get away from it.
it's not necessarily white on black. It's not necessarily black on white or Asian on, but it's something of to do with race, and it's there all the time. I read an article one time, and I've started watching this there's a TV show which my wife likes, which I cannot stand, and that's The Price is Right. It is, I'm sorry, ladies, it's one of the dumbest damn things on TV. But it is interesting to watch the characters that they pull up there. They're absolutely crazy. I mean, they're all drugged out or something.
Like Judge Judy,
Yeah,
her
well,
clientele.
Yeah. But this article that I read pointed out that they pick names out of the audience. And they were right. If you look at that audience, and when they scan it, it'll be 10, maybe 15% black. Then they said, count how many black people get picked to be contestants. It's almost 40-some% get picked. And it's not a one or two times would happen. But every show has got this ratio.
We've got to get away from
That's racism. It's a type of racism.
We've got to get away from this racial labels. You know, we've got to start calling each other Americans and knock this crap off. By the way, back in the early days when I was a kid, the 40s, we had Polacks,
Yep, we did too.
Guineas,
We did.
frogs.
No. Oh yeah, a couple. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I mean, Swedes.
Oh yeah, all the Scandinavians.
Yeah, blockheads, the Germans. Was that racist for us to call each other those names?
We didn't think so.
No.
Nobody
and there
did.
was no, to my way of thinking, there was no, no us casting aspersions at all on the other guy. It was just nicknames that we hung on people. I don't know. By the way, Joe Namath went on Fox News,
I understand.
and he was very articulate. And two takeaways. We've got to come together. You know, that's a very simple 5 words. But yet, it speaks volumes. We've got to come together as a country. And the other thing he said, take the demonstrations off the field. The field is for football.
That's right.
Joe Namath is first class in my estimation.
Yeah, my opinion went up with him after that. For a long time, I thought he was kind of a dope.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, well, it's back in his drinking days. There was some talk about the Obama administration using faulty data as an excuse to shove the gas mileage numbers for the EPA way up, you know? Now, the officials have now been called on that. But now the excuse is beautiful. All right, the Obama administration used faulty data and exaggerated outcomes. But it was for the planet, don't you see?
Yeah. You can look good if you tell the auto manufacturers you're going to produce an automobile with a 55 mile an hour, 55 miles to the gallon. And the press is going to carry all this thing, and you're going to be the greatest ecological friendly president ever. But it's pie in the sky.
And
yeah, oh yeah, of course. There's only so much energy in a gallon of gas, and unless you can somehow cause it to fuse, like nuclear fusion, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. By the way, Patrick's coming over Saturday morning.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good. Yep.
And you folks don't need to know what that was all about.
I do, though.
Between us. We need to raise a lot of money in this country for the people of the Houston area, and then Florida, and now Puerto Rico. But take this into consideration. This country is going to spend $2.7 billion on Halloween candy.
Yep.
And the total, including costumes,
it's amazing,
is over $9 billion. Why can't we just say, listen, this year we're not going to have uniforms, and we'll just give a little candy to the little kids. And let's take the rest of that money and send it to Puerto Rico. That's a basket case. But a basket case, I want to be frank about this, it's a basket case of their own making.
To a big extent it is in that particular case.
I mean, this is the most corrupt bunch of government employees and people down there. And
that country.
It's a mess.
I'm not sure what it is. It's a country, it's a possession,
Territory.
It's territory, what exact technically it is. But for years, they've been, take care of it, sit down, I'll take care of me. And Trump was right when he said something about they got to get up and do something for themselves.
Yeah.
Now,
with that said and done, all right,
go ahead. I know where you're going.
You can't tell a man to pull his own bootstraps up if he doesn't have boots.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, too, that prior to this thing, it was, I've been to Puerto Rico, and it's beautiful. They got beautiful beaches and palm trees, and they got some nice downtown areas. They got some in the old cities, very quaint. But they got crime rate that's out of sight.
Out of sight.
They got corruption that's just
out
unbelievable.
Of sight. Unbelievable.
And they got an infrastructure that simply, it's there, it just doesn't work.
That's right. Well, they've got, 11 separate power companies that run their own power plants?
At any given time, 25 or 30% of the power companies are down. Why are they down? Just getting it around to fix anything yet.
We don't have a good maintenance program. We don't have people that know how to fix things. We can't plan ahead, and oh God.
But something else about Puerto Rico that struck me as a little different. I don't know the numbers. I did at one time. How many Puerto Ricans are in this country?
A huge amount.
Huge. I think there's more Puerto Ricans here than there are in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
But there was no great unification among the U.S. living Puerto Ricans to gather together and say, we have to do this. There was more unification with the Haitians and the Dominicans than when they got hit. We had far less numbers here, organizing relief things and getting things going.
That's because Puerto Ricans, I think, have melded into the melting pot of this country and consider themselves Americans and not necessarily Puerto Ricans.
You're right.
Luis Gutierrez, Democrat from Illinois, representative.
Okay.
He says, securing the border is a white supremacy agenda.
No.
You believe that? And this is the kind of junk that appears on some of the news networks.
Any country that recognizes a border has it secured to a certain extent. Now I know the EU countries they tore their borders down, but they don't even hardly recognize
Look
borders.
at the price they're paying for it now.
Now they're paying for price, yeah. But it doesn't matter where you go or otherwise in the world, there are borders.
Well, of course.
And they're not necessarily to keep somebody in or somebody out. They are borders for security control.
Some smart guy said once, show me a country without borders, and I'll show you, or I will tell you you don't have a country.
That's exactly right.
Time Magazine and Sports Illustrated publish, right now, 38 issues a year.
Yep.
They're dropping it to 27, cutting down the number of issues by 1/3. Fortune magazine is also in the same group, and they're doing the same thing. The dumbing down of America.
And the content. I get Time. I've gotten Time for several years.
Yep.
And I don't buy Time. I got a lot of old, used up, old air miles the airlines want to get rid of, so they give you these offers to convert them into magazine subscriptions.
Yep.
Well, most of the subscriptions are the stupidest thing. Cigar aficionados, who cares about this stuff? But Time is usually on there, and Wall Street Journal was on there. So every year I get that, and I spend 8,000 miles or something for another year of Time. But I noticed over the years it's getting thinner and thinner, and the articles are just less and less all the time.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely. Well, okay, so now we're bombarded all the time that our judges need more leeway in sentencing. This business about established
mandatory
sentences, mandatory sentences for different offenses. Now, we have two cases here.
Yep.
A man who raped an Everett teenager and left her partially nude body sprawled on a frigid driveway.
Oh, I remember that case.
Her core temperature was down to 77 degrees, and there was no brain activity when she was brought to the hospital. Doctors gave her a 30% chance of survival.
Correct.
Would you call that a hideous crime? Oh. Without a doubt, right?
The ultimate, one of the ultimates.
Okay, here we go. Here's another case. A Framingham man was sentenced to federal prison for posing or getting to pose a teenage girl. And he put her pictures on the internet. He also was convicted of getting underage boys to send him nude pictures. Of these two crimes, both of them stink, by the way, but of these two crimes, one was significantly less time in jail than the other. Could you tell me, please, what these two sentences might have been?
Well, doing the cases that we're talking about, I suspect one was severe, and the other one was very lenient on the sentencing. Because sentencing without guidelines is simply up to the interpretation of the judge, what he personally feels about certain things.
How he feels that morning.
That morning, that's
right.
right.
Whether he's hungover.
There's a judge in Plymouth County that all attorneys that got wealthy clients that got picked up for DUI, they all flocked to this one judge.
And they all skate afterwards.
And he's got about a 97% acquittal, just said, case dismissed.
Yeah,
case dismissed.
10 grand is his
case dismissed.
beginning
case dismissed.
fee.
That's it. Yep. And I don't know if he had been caught DWI at one time or what the case was, but he doesn't believe in DUI or DWI, either one, they're the same thing. prosecution. So
Yeah.
what do you say? Is that it's just his interpretation of things. I think mandatory sentencing has a point.
All right, the man who raped the unconscious Everett teen and left her to die outside, it
Yep.
was wintertime, left her out there naked on the sidewalk. Actually, on the driveway.
Right on the driveway. I remember the case.
What do you suppose he got for a prison sentence?
I don't know. I'm going to say 10 years.
What do you suppose the guy who posed the girl in the nude,
Probably 40 years.
the guy that raped the girl and left her out to die,
Yeah.
was sentenced to not less than 2, nor more than 3.5 years
Yep.
in prison. But Curtis Simono, 24, was sentenced to 17 years
That's the yeah.
in federal prison and
that's what we're talking
10
about.
years of supervised release afterwards.
Yep.
Do you really think that this sort of thing is correct?
No.
I mean, judges should not be allowed this
That
kind of leeway.
No, they should not.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
I hate the idea that because the victim, one, did not die, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
If a gangbanger goes into a 7-Eleven store and says to the guy, "Give me all your money," and the guy's not fast enough and he shoots him, but he just happens to be a bad shot, instead of through the heart, the round goes through his shoulder. Well, he intended to kill that guy when he pulled that trigger.
You bet he did.
He's just a bad shot.
That's
all.
right. And by the grace of God, the guy's walking.
That's right. So then the liberal group again says, well, he didn't kill him.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be.
And you know, he didn't intend to kill him. He intended to scare him.
If he didn't scare him, and he walked in there with either a water pistol or a 2x4.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but this
Not a
business
9mm.
that we're going to judge murders on intent.
Yep.
How can you possibly get in a guy's head and know what he intended to
Well,
do?
I think if you use a weapon, like a gun, the intent is established. The intent is to kill. The intent is to force him, at the risk of his life, to comply to what you want him to do. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the gun.
That's right. Well, here's a
Well, we'd have
lady.
made good hanging judges, wouldn't we, in the
know
Old
it.
West? I suppose they had a relative in South Dakota that got hung for horse thievery.
Yeah, there was one guy someplace
I
that
think-
I read about that sentenced like 900 people to hang
Well,
in the Old West.
My old relatives, too. I asked them, my mother's funeral, I had heard about these people over and over and over. About our relatives in South, we got relatives in South Dakota, but one of them was a horse thief. And they chased this guy for 20 years, and they finally caught him. I guess they found the only lone tree in South Dakota, and they put a rope on him and hung him. So at my mother's funeral, I met some of her cousins. They were 85, 90 years old, too. And I said, "Hey, Claire," I said, "did we really have a relative that got hung for as a horse thief?" She says, "We believe it. Our family always talked about
Who
him."
knows?
So I said, "He probably did."
Oh, there's no newspapers back in them one-horse
No.
towns in those days.
Not in the Dakotas.
Well, folks, here's a story about a lady, Danielle Mastro, 33 years old. Well, she was on her way to buy drugs when her Audi A6 rear-ended a Chevy Equinox. She admitted to being dope sick. She was calling her drug dealer for a fix of heroin when she triggered the accident, killing the woman.
Yep.
58-year-old mother of 2, and she killed her. She got out of the car when the cops got her, and she said, "Yeah, I'm blank dope sick as blank." She admitted to drinking vodka less than an hour before the crash and walked away from the scene because she wanted to buy heroin before having to deal with the cops. So she left the scene of the accident to go get the heroin before dealing with the cops. This is unbelievable. One wonders what's going to happen to this woman. But, you know, she's an addict, so we have to go easy on her. It's not her fault.
No, most people, everything today is not somebody's fault.
Yeah, I know. This is unbelievable. But this mother of two is dead. It wasn't her fault either.
Yep.
In a separate article, not this one, I think she drank 6 nips of vodka. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
Absolutely ridiculous.
But people they don't accept any responsibility for their own action today.
None whatsoever.
This past week, again, I talked about Wheel of Fortune, or The Price is Right now. I actually watched, what's his name, Dr. Phil.
Oh.
He drives you crazy also. Yeah. He's just a know-it-all. But he had this guest, this young lady, and she's out of control. She drinks and she drives. And he said to her, now this answer was just this typical. How would you feel if you ran into some kid and killed him driving drunk? Her thing is, well, that'll never happen to me because I don't get caught. It was a stupid, nonsensical answer.
That's the answer.
But she believed it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't get caught.
Well, I got some good news for you. In the middle of all this bad news,
well, this is just...
Look at this. Kraft and the Attorney General to tackle violence nationally. Maura Healey can't find anything to do in Massachusetts with drug overdoses going through the roof, crime every place, and she's going to go national along with Bob Kraft to stop violence. I couldn't be prouder of her.
We don't have an attorney general in the state. We haven't had one for quite a while. They're just people that are using it as a stepping stone to the next political position.
You better believe it.
Miss Croakley, as I like to call her, she was always suing Microsoft or somebody for
well,
being
she's doing the same thing too. She's got,
I think 21 out of the last 28 cases are something national that she's got no business in.
That's right. Yeah. There's not enough, obviously, to do here in Massachusetts. We must have the perfect civilization. Oh, yeah. Good God. Well, rotten trader pleads guilty.
Oh, Bardol.
Yep.
Oh,
now,
God.
Before we go to this rotten trader, would you tell me what he's doing wearing Buck Sergeant stripes?
I don't know. I noticed that myself.
Do you know, did he get credit for being held prisoner?
He got promoted.
An automatic promotion?
He got automatically promoted while he was supposedly in prison being held prisoner.
Well, those babies better be whipped off that jacket before much longer. Buck Sergeant.
All you guys out there we're in the service, you know they call losing your stripes pretty easy. You don't commit a crime like that and walk around as an E5, as a non-commissioned officer. That's an insult.
It's an affront to every single guy wearing stripes in the service doing a good job. Yep. By the way, truth in advertising, those things, when a guy loses his stripes in your outfit, they don't disappear. They're reassigned to somebody else. They're called blood stripes. Mm-hmm. And I was promoted to Spec 4 on a blood stripe.
Well, good for you.
Charlie Wigfall got drunk and didn't. I was supposed to be in 5 o'clock Sunday morning and didn't show up till Monday morning.
I think the reason for that, every slot has so many allocations.
Yeah, exactly.
So if he's not wearing it, well, we can allocate this slot to somebody else.
And here I was a draftee.
Yeah.
And draftees don't get promoted to E4.
No.
Anyway, they promoted me. But anyway, well, folks, we did a pretty good job of getting through some of this stuff here. I got a heck of a lot more.
Yeah, we didn't get bogged down today.
No, gotta keep it rolling.
Yep.
And you know, if we could keep it rolling for another week, a week and 2 weeks,
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
get
be-
through all this stuff, and then we can get back into meat.
I'd just like to mention,
Go ahead.
the Senior Center is having a Veterans Day breakfast on the Veterans Day, on the 11th. It's at 9 o'clock. It's for veterans and their friends. If you bring your wife, bring your girlfriend or your wife's girlfriend or somebody else. You're up to your own. You're on
Somebody
your own
else's
there.
wife.
Somebody else's wife. You're on your own there. There's absolutely no charge for it. We're going to have so probably some drawings and just a good time. It's an appreciation for for veterans.
Yep.
It's at 9 o'clock.
Do it every year.
Yep.
And
If you think you want to go,
call the senior
call the
center,
Senior Center, tell them I'm interested,
and they'll sign you up.
or let Bill or I know till
Yep.
we can take care of it for you.
And on that note, fall is upon us. Enjoy
Yeah.
the leaves,
Beautiful.
the
It's going to
crisp
be a nice
air,
week, too.
and quicker than you know it, we'll be back at you.
Yep. Like it or not.
Like it or not.
All right.
Good night, folks.
Take care.
Oh, that was good.